All right, everybody, you see these bubbles on the side of the floating gas holder here. That is methane, of course, and the floating digester hasn't been used in a while. We've been using that tank there, collecting the gas from this IBC tank, Solar Cities biodigester here, feeding it there. But we also let the spillover from this digester go into this digester floater with a pipe that's 2-inch that goes down underneath this floating bell here, and it's open, so it only works in the summer. You can see tadpoles living in it and plants growing on top of it, but it is beginning to fill with methane, as you can see. And if I can somehow hold this camera, you can get an idea. You'll see that it is indeed collecting flammable methane, but I have to press on it. There we go. So this is a perfectly reasonable way to make a biodigester. Look at that, I'm beginning to set the plants on fire there. And so why do this? Well, the reason to do this is because, first of all, some of the energy contained in the food that we put in here, we grind it up in this incinerator and we grind it into a bucket, and then we generally will take this slurry, and it doesn't matter if you spill it on the ground because it'll just turn into soil, but we like to put it in the biodigester, of course. But you can also feed a floating gas holder, and let me go under here and show you. I can feed this. Again, I'm not worried about the mess, because when you grind up food waste in the grinder, it turns into soil in 3 to 6 days. But I can feed this pipe here and let that food waste go underneath the bell here, and then of course it'll bubble under and this will rise up with gas. So this itself is a Solar Cities variant of the RT India floating drum digester, just using 2 IBC tanks. This is also 2 IBC tanks, but this is just the floating gas holder. This is not a digester. This is the digester that is feeding this floating gas holder made of 2 IBCs. This one filled with water up to the top, and this one rotated 90 degrees and floating inside. But you don't really need to have 3 tanks to make a viable biodigester and gas holder. In our design, you have 1 tank for the biodigester and 2 other tanks serving as the floating gas holder. But if you're in a warm climate like here in Florida, all you need is 2 IBC tanks, 1 to hold the water, as you can see, and the other one rotated 90 degrees and cut so it fits and sinks in. And then if you feed that by putting the food waste underneath here, and you've inoculated it, in this case the inoculant came from the first digester, but you can put cow manure, horse manure, or your baby's diaper waste scrapings in there, or your own poop or your dog poo, whatever, a source of methanogens, duck pond muck for example, then you have a viable Solar Cities IBC tank biodigester and gas holder in one. I just connected this with an overflow pipe so that when there's excess food waste, it spills over and also feeds this, and it always provides a constant source of good microbes to go in here. That'll be helpful when this thing freezes in the winter and then thaws out. Now in Florida it's not going to freeze solid, but it does get below 0 at times, and it just makes sure I got a source going in. But you could just forget about that part, and just have 2 IBC tanks, as I mentioned, 1 with the top lopped off filled with water up to the top, another with the side lopped off so that it fits inside and rotated 90 degrees. You bow this out a little bit, and then you just put your gas out, and you put a 2-inch pipe which fits right at the corner here, as you can see, and then there's an elbow 245, so it slips in the bottom underneath and goes to about halfway. So that means the food waste is going to be contained under there, and then it is going to bubble up and make the methane just like a duck pond would. And just like a duck pond at the top, even though it's an anaerobic digester, at the top there's enough oxygen for the tadpoles to live and do things, but down at the bottom it's going to be anaerobic, and that's what a duck pond is like. Then the overspill, as you can see, is over there. Whenever we feed it, it rises the water level here, and that spills out into the garden, and you get a lot of fertility there. So yeah, I think everybody should be considering this as an option. I want to do one more lighting here. Let's go here, and let me see if I press down on it. Oh, I must burn myself. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. So that is fun there, right? Got fire, Scarecrow. So yeah, of course it works. And then if you want to go the traditional way, particularly in cold climates, where you might want to put your biodigester in your basement, like Kathy Puffer did with us back about 12 years ago, or if you want to insulate it and put it in a greenhouse like I did in Germany 15 years ago, you can keep your primary digester warm and then have your gas holder outside, and then you could put antifreeze or salt or whatever in here so it doesn't freeze over in the winter, and then it acts as a rising floating gas holder. That is the original intent. That's why we designed it like this, because I designed this system in Germany and then in New York and in Pennsylvania, and you can certainly see a lot of good gas coming out of there, right? So there you have that. But that system like that would cost you 3 tanks, and this other system costs you just 2. So it's a lot less expensive. Then what I have over there, I have a solar hot water heater that I need to repair that is built using the IBC cage to hold the panels. It's fallen apart after the hurricane, so I need to repair it. But this is a handmade solar hot water system, and the hot water is stored up there on top of the IBC cage, and then I can let that hot water go into here in the winter time to keep this thing active. So that's why we have a solar hot water system that, as I said, I need to repair. And over here I have the home biogas system, the commercial system, and I'm storing some of the gas in these dunnage bags. But yeah, so a lot of opportunity for bricolage. Once this is repaired, it's going to look a lot better, and that's a way to keep the digesters warm. So good luck with your systems, and happy biodigesting. All right, let's end with some fire, because fire is always fun to end with. So let's turn that on and end with, there we go. All righty, bye-bye.